Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Primary Market Chatter. This is the November third week edition. We are essentially been doing this since July, where what we do is we talk about the companies which are coming in with their IPOs. We talk about them from our fundamental understanding and then give a review on what do we feel about the company. Just a couple of pointers from my end, and I understand this is something which we have said quite a few times in the back as well. But just want to reiterate that A, we are not SEBI registered research analysts. So any of our advice, it cannot be taken on face value. Please definitely do your due diligence and only then apply to the companies or take a informed call. This can only act as a supplement. This should not be taken as a qualified opinion at all. Having said that, one more thing which I want to highlight is that, and this is in context to I see a few requests with respect to the timings for the show. While we try and make sure that we adhere to the timings, it's just that 9:30 kind of suits all four of us well. From 9:30 के साथ slightly comfortable है. We'll still try and see if we can change the time a bit. But if you miss any of the shows, uh, we kind of record them as well and then put it on our YouTube. So you can always listen to them on your YouTube. We also kind of segregate all of the IPOs when we are speaking about them. So if you want to listen to a specific IPO, you can do that as well. So that is with respect to the timings and the YouTube channel. So I have posted the link for the YouTube channel in the chat box. पहले comment में मैंने डाला है. So if you have missed that, you can kind of also subscribe to the YouTube channel. With that, maybe let me set up the agenda for the day. So we'll be talking about three companies. This is a slightly light week. One big size IPO. In fact, the second one's also decent, but yeah, from what we have been seeing, IPO markets haven't been doing great and considerably visible on primary markets as well, where the number of issues have reduced drastically. So we'll be talking about three companies. We'll talk about two main board companies. एक जिसकी बात करेंगे वो है BlackBuck, सेकेंड एनटीपीसी ग्रीन एंड एक एसएमई आईपीओ भी आ रहा है उसकी भी बात करेंगे विच इज ऑनिक्स बायोटेक. सो ये तीन कंपनियां हैं हमारी लाइन में विच वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट. In terms of how we'll be kind of structuring the call. So SMEs में बात करूं तो Onyx Biotec कल बंद हो रही है. Similarly, Mainboard में Zinka Logistics, which is BlackBuck, that is also ending tomorrow, and then NTPC is opening day after tomorrow. So we'll save NTPC towards the last because we'll kind of cover in the chronological order. We'll first start with Onyx Biotec. जल्दी से Onyx Biotec की बात करेंगे 5 मिनट में. Then we'll move to BlackBuck and then finally wrap up with one last issue, which is your NTPC Green, which everyone's probably waiting for, although I don't know if they're waiting for right now, considering the GMP has been on a free fall. But let me start with Onyx Biotec. Onyx Biotech के बारे में very quickly, let me give a high level summary. तो अगर मैं कंपनी की बात करूं तो कंपनी is bringing its IPO and trying to like the IPO, as I said, is ending tomorrow. And the company is a medical biotech company and is coming up with an IPO of around 29 CR. 29.33 CR का IPO है जो कि ऑल फ्रेश इशू है. बाय द वे कंपनी को पूरा पैसा जा रहा है और कंपनी के जो प्रमोटर्स हैं उनकी अराउंड 64% शेयर होल्डिंग रहने वाली है कंपनी में. एंड मार्केट कैप ऑफ द कंपनी ऑन लिस्टिंग इज 110 CR. जस्ट टू रिपीट, 110 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप पे कंपनी 30 करोड़ रेज करने की कोशिश कर रही है. और अगर वेरी हाई लेवल अगर मैं आपको बताऊं कि कंपनी करती क्या है, तो कंपनी जो है वो स्टेराइल वाटर जो होता है, जो कि इंजेक्शन में जो मेन कंपोनेंट होता है, जो इंजेक्शन लगती है, उसके अलावा जो वाटर होता है वो बनाती है. ड्राई पाउडर बनाती है अगेन, विच इज यूज्ड इन इंजेक्शन पाउडर, एंड देन सिरप्स वगैरह बनाती है. सो थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फॉर डिफरेंट कंपनीज. तो जैसे ग्लेनमार्क फार्मा हो गया, इन सबको जब ये स्टेराइल वाटर बनाना होता है तो ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में किसी और को दे देते हैं और वो उनके लिए बना देता है. सो दिस कंपनी डज दोस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फॉर दिस फॉर वेरियस स्टेराइल वाटर, ड्राई पाउडर वगैरह बनाने का काम करती है. No R&D, no hardcore research as such which this company does. It's a contract manufacturing company. Don't think of it as a pharma player. I would kind of think of it as a subcontractor player if I have to think of like categorize it in some way. Having said that, this is an old company. One good thing about the company is कि 2010 से कंपनी चल रही है और इसके जो क्लाइंट्स भी हैं काफी एमएनसीज इसके क्लाइंट्स हैं. मैनकाइंड फार्मा हो गया, ग्लेनमार्क हो गया, कुम्स हो गया जो अभी अभी लिस्ट हुआ था. क्वाइट अ फ्यू ऑफ दीज कंपनीज आर इट्स क्लाइंट्स. एंड कंपनी ने जो है 2010 में कैपेसिटी 2 लाख यूनिट से चालू की थी. उसके बाद 2017 में एक्सपेंड करके 23 लाख यूनिट तक ले गई अपनी जो स्टेराइल वाटर की प्रोडक्शन है. और उसके बाद कंपनी ने एक दूसरी यूनिट लगाई 2023 में जिसमें वो ड्राई पाउडर वगैरह बनाते हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने रियलाइज किया 2023 में कि जो स्टेराइल वाटर की प्रोडक्शन है वो काफी कम होती जा रही है पर से. तो जैसे मैंने बताया अब इनकी 2 यूनिट है, दोनों हिमाचल प्रदेश में ही है. पहली यूनिट जो है वो स्टेराइल वाटर बनाती है, 5 ml से लेके 44 ml तक के पाउचेस बनाती है. सेकंड और अब ये बेसिकली इसको एक्सपैंड करके 100 ml से 500 ml sterile water भी बनाना चाह रहे हैं, which is like your like the bigger packaging per se, because of which they need to raise money. We'll come back to this, but yeah. Then the second unit is the one which makes dry powders and syrups. So आप देखोगे अराउंड FY 22-23 में जो था तो इनका मोस्ट ऑफ द रेवेन्यू वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम स्टेराइल यूनिट्स. स्टेराइल यूनिट्स ही स्टेराइल वाटर ही बनाते थे. फिर उनने FY 24 के स्टार्टिंग में या फिर FY 23 के एंड में अराउंड ये ड्राई पाउडर वाला काम भी चालू किया और उसको वो दैट इज एक्चुअली पिक्ड अप क्वाइट वेल. लाइक FY 23 में इनका देखोगे तो अराउंड 99% रेवेन्यू इज फ्रॉम स्टेराइल वाटर वर्सेज द करंट first 2 months. They have given data for April and May. In the current first 2 months, it's actually a 50-50 split. 50% sterile water से आ रहा है and 50% dry powder से आ रहा है. So that's a like there's a segment which is doing well and for which they also वो जो dry powder injection उसके लिए भी वो amount place कर रहे हैं. We'll come back to this, but again as I was saying इनके ना contracts बने हुए हैं pharmaceutical company से. जैसे ये Medipox फार्मा है, इनके साथ इनका 2023 से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो रखा है 2029 तक. तब तक ये इनके लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करता रहेगा. निकोलस हेल्थ केयर है उसके लिए, उसका भी 2029 तक है. एस्पायर इंडिया लाइफ केयर है, उसके साथ 5 साल का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. सो बेसिकली इनके लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है विच एसेंशियली शोज यू दैट देयर इज विजिबिलिटी ऑफ रेवेन्यू तो उतना आएगा. बट वन बैड पार्ट अबाउट इज कि 2010 से कंपनी है, उस बेसिस से कंपनी उतना ग्रो प्रोबेबली नहीं कर पाई है. आई विल कम बैक टू इट व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट फाइनेंशियल्स. बट अगर कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन वगैरह की भी बात करूं तो उसमें भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. कैपेसिटी अराउंड 60% यूज थी यूनिट 1 की एंड 50% यूनिट 2 की. सो देयर स्टिल टाइम इन टर्म्स ऑफ द कैपेसिटी यूटिलाइजेशन. इन पे ऑडिट वगैरह होते रहते हैं जो क्लाइंट से होते हैं, रेगुलेटर्स से होते हैं. सो ऑल ऑफ देम दे पास वेल, सो दैट्स ऑल्सो नॉट अ इशू. अगेन नाउ कमिंग बैक टू व्हाई दे आर रेजिंग मनी. जैसे मैंने बताया 29 करोड़ रुपए ये रेज कर रहे हैं, 29 CR, आउट ऑफ विच 6 CR इज गोइंग टू यूनिट 1 टू मैन्युफैक्चर लार्जर वॉल्यूम 100 ml to 500 ml प्लेस. 1.5 CR इज गोइंग इनटू जो इनकी यूनिट 2 है जिसमें ये ड्राई पाउडर बनाते हैं, उसको कुछ तो उनको ऑटोमेट करना है पैकेजिंग की प्रोसेस, तो उससे उनका मैनुअल लेबर कम होगा. एंड देन उनको लोन पे करना है 12 CR का. So that's where all of this cost is going to go into, and which should be positive for the company. Just want to highlight that both.
Manish, I can't hear you.
Can others hear me?
Yes,
I can hear actually.
Acha, okay.
So maybe I'll continue then. So as I was saying, around 29 CR कंपनी रेस कर रही है. एंड जो ये दो यूनिट 1 जो है, सो दैट यूनिट 1 का जो कैपेक्स है दैट विल बिकम लाइव इन जून 2025. तो जून 2025 में, सो अराउंड 6 महीने लगेंगे. और जो यूनिट 1 में वो ऑटोमेटेड टेक्नोलॉजी ला रहे हैं, दैट विल ऑल्सो गो लाइव in May of 2020, April of 2025. So everything which will come in from these units will be in FY 25, will not be like, again, I don't want to say it like right now because again 3-4 months is okay, but do you want to wait for that long time is something which you need to decide. क्योंकि इसके जितने भी बेनिफिट्स हैं वो सब लाइक लोन ये अभी पे कर देंगे जो 12-14 करोड़ का ये अमाउंट यूज कर रहे हैं. बाकी जो कैपेक्स कर रहे हैं दैट विल ओनली बिकम लाइव इन FY 25. So that's something which needs to be looked into. But again, as I was saying, इनके पास पूरा लैंड जो है वो ओन्ड है. Now I'll come and like company also looks good in terms of like 175 employees and 93 in production, which is decent. But now I'll come to the major part where I feel there are a few glitches, which is the revenue, which is what we should be looking at per se. So जैसा मैंने बताया, the company had done 44 CR in FY 22, which went down to 39 CR in FY 23 and then came back up to 53 CR in FY24. The reason company has given is that sterile water का जो FY22 में production था, there was more demand due to COVID, which came down. So now that is up, it will remain consistent per se. Similarly, अगर मैं जैसे PAT की बात करूं तो PAT कंपनी ने अराउंड FY22 में 3.35 CR का किया था, which went down to 1.84 CR in FY23 and has came back up to 3 CR. बट इसमें एक मेजर कंसर्न जो मुझे दिखा, अगर आप पैट देखोगे तो मोस्ट ऑफ द पैट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम असेंशली a result of just the employee benefit expense going down. So इनका 10 CR का employee expense था in FY23, which went down to 6 CR in FY24. तो मेजर जो पैट है वो उसी वजह से आ रहा है, और वो जो एम्प्लॉय बेनिफिट रीजन है कि एमडी ने अपनी सैलरी कम कर दी थी पैसे लेना. So again, it's a company which has been running for long and hasn't been able to generate the kind of PAT that it has been able to generate. But even if you were to consider per se कि ठीक है, company अब अच्छा काम करेगी, and if you have a look at the PAT per se, so जैसा मैंने बताया कंपनी ने 3 CR का रेवेन्यू किया था इन FY24 में and 1.3 CR का रेवेन्यू किया है इन FY25 के 2 महीने में. So अगर आप उसको एक्स्ट्रापोलेट कर दोगे 6 टाइम और एनुअलाइज कर दोगे तो कंपनी का पी आता है 14. ऑल्दो आई डोंट थिंक यू शुड डू इट. द बेस्ट वे टू लुक एट इट वुड बी लाइक एट अ टीटीएम बेसिस की ट्रेलिंग 12 मंथ्स में इसने कितने पी पे आ रही है, तो उस हिसाब से 29 के पी पे आ रही है, 29 के पी, विच आई थिंक इज प्रिटी लाइक for a company which hasn't been growing at the pace at which it has been going. I think it's pretty like it doesn't leave a lot on the table for the investors. So that's why I would kind of like I'm not super bullish on the company, although I think it's a decent company. I like the company, like a very SME type of a company, but I'm not exactly sure its future because the segment in which it operates is very fragmented. काफी सारे players होते हैं. It's very competitive. लाइक जब भी कंपनी थोड़ा भी प्राइस ज्यादा करने की कोशिश करेगी तो देयर विल ऑलवेज बी अदर प्लेयर्स, unorganized segment है who will do it for cheaper. So profit margins will always remain under strain, I feel, and would be difficult for the company to scale up. एक दो साल में relatively there can be benefits of just the new capex going live and because of which the revenue going up. But I feel after that there will be a drag, and I'm not super positive on the company in terms of listing gains as well, क्योंकि जो भी gains हैं वो FY25 में आएंगे. 2 महीने का रिजल्ट दिया FY25 का, FY26 में आएंगे. तो अभी FY25 का ये पहले 4 महीने का और रिजल्ट देंगे, उसके बाद ये 6 महीने का रिजल्ट देंगे, उसके बाद कुछ होगा. So listing gains के लिए भी I don't think per se there's a lot on the table. Other than that, the LM is also Horizon, which is nothing great to talk about per se, nothing to write home about. So that's why I'm not super bullish. I can still try and maybe secure one lot in this IPO because जो BlackBuck है उसमें भी कुछ दिख नहीं रहा करने के लिए. So I might do some random time pass, but again, anyone who is safe player should avoid this issue. That is what my read of Onyx Biotec was. Over to you guys, Tanmay, Yash, and Rohit, for your opinion on Onyx Biotec. Maybe Tanmay, you want to go first, and in the meanwhile, I'll try and find out if Rohit can hear as well.
Sir, is my voice clear?
Yes.
एक्चुअली सर मेरे साथ ग्लिच ऐसा हो रहा है कि जब मैं स्पीकर मोड पे आ रहा हूँ तो बाकी सबका आवाज बहुत डिम हो जा रहा है, मतलब कम आ रहा है. तो ठीक है, जस्ट ट्राइंग टू मैनेज. मेरा सिर्फ इतना था कि यार दिस कंपनी डज अ पैट मार्जिन ऑफ 3 to 6% फ्रॉम लास्ट 5 years काइंड ऑफ, एंड अचानक आईपीओ के वक्त वो 13% हो जाता है, एंड जस्ट इट्स मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर रिड्यूसेस और डजंट टेक द सैलरी टू जस्ट इंक्रीज द पैट, एंड देन उस पर कुछ वैल्यूएशंस होते हैं. तो आई फील a 4 or 5%, a natural 4 or 5% margin business shouldn't get that kind of valuation. एक 34 के मल्टीपल पे आ रहा है FY24. FY25 में बोलूँ तो यार रफली 16-17 गुना आना चाहिए. एक्चुअली मार्केट शुड गिव दैट वैल्यूएशन टू द कंपनी इन फॉरवर्ड. उन्होंने आईपीओ के वक्त ही इतना ले लिया है, एंड आई फील 60% यूटिलाइजेशन पे इसको आप 84-86 तक आराम से स्ट्रेच कर सकते थे. आपने एक्सपांशन किया, नई फैसिलिटी, उसका अलग डेप्रिसिएशन कॉस्ट आएगा. तो आई फील कि ये ना थोड़ा सा गिमिकी प्ले है और लॉन्ग टर्म में शायद बन जाए, बट लिस्टिंग गेन के लिए दिस इज लाइक टेकिंग अ चांस काइंड ऑफ थिंग. बट हाँ, आई डोंट एक्सपेक्ट अ डिस्काउंट लिस्टिंग, बट हाँ पैसा भी बनना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा इसमें.
गॉट इट। इसकी एंकर बुक देखी थी क्या? मैं एक बार फटाफट एंकर बुक इसकी खोल रहा हूँ इन द मीनवाइल जस्ट टू सी इफ देयर आर एनी नेम्स व्हिच लुक इंटरेस्टिंग। Yeah, nothing interesting in the anchor book as well. One Achintya investment fund has taken like 5.5 CR का allocation, so
सर इन तीनों का
65%.
ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड कुछ खास नहीं है ज्यादा एंकर्स का, ठीक ही
But एक के पास 65% है, 5.5 CR is with one person. So maybe
है।
there can be some hoarding or
और ये
essentially
इन्विक्टा
some.
का भी देखो, इन्होंने जिंदगी का पहला एंकर अपना टॉलेंस टायर्स में डाला, यू नो व्हाट हैपेंड विद इट, तो यार मतलब
Okay.
आई
I hmm.
पर्सनली मेरे को तो बहुत एक्सपेंसिव लग रहा है कंपनी। मतलब इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यूएशन ओनली, अगर मेरे को खाली वैल्यूएशन ही देखना पड़े तो खाली वैल्यूएशन देख के ही मैं इस कंपनी को कभी कभी मतलब अप्लाई अप्लाई भी ना करूं। क्योंकि मेजर सेगमेंट मनीष, अगेन आई एम डिस्क्लोजिंग कि आई हैव नॉट रेड द कंपनी इन डिटेल, बट एज यू सेड दैट की कंपनी स्टेरलाइट वाटर एंड ड्राई पाउडर इंजेक्शन बनाती है। तो अगर इसका मैं वो भी देख रहा हूँ जो इसका सेगमेंटेशन का ब्रेकअप था। आई थिंक FY 24 में दे हैव डन ऑलमोस्ट 60% फ्रॉम स्टरलाइट वाटर एंड ड्राई पाउडर इज ओनली 38%। तो जो पैट मार्जिन जो इनका इस बार इंक्रीज हुआ है उसके भी ये देर आर 3 पॉइंट्स टू दैट। एक तो इनका जो ड्राई पाउडर का इंजेक्शन है विच इज गुड बिजनेस आई कैन से कंपेयर टू व्हाट स्टेरलाइट वाटर इज, एंड उसका इन्होंने यूटिलाइजेशन अच्छा करा है। तो उससे अगर कंट्रीब्यूशन रेवेन्यू में ज्यादा हुआ है तो ऑब्वियसली उस प्रोडक्ट का पैट मार्जिन ज्यादा है कंपेयर टू व्हाट स्टरलाइट वाटर से आता है। प्लस जो मैनेजमेंट ने सैलरी विड्रॉ करना कम किया है उससे इबिडा तो इम्प्रूव हुआ ही है। तो ओवरऑल दो फैक्टर तो ये हैं, एंड थर्ड फैक्टर तो यही है कि इसका जो मार्जिन होता है, जो प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो है इसका, उसमें बहुत वेरिएबिलिटी है। तो अभी आगे जाके इफ दे आर गोइंग टू एक्सपैंड देयर ड्राई पाउडर इंजेक्शंस तो दैट विल बी अ गुड प्ले। बट अगर स्टरलाइट वाटर में ही दे विल डू, या फिर 2 यूनिट है और अभी से दे आर नॉट एबल टू एलोकेट प्रॉपर कैपिटल कि हमें कौन सा प्रोडक्ट कर ज्यादा बनाना है पोर्टफोलियो से एंड किससे ग्रो करना है, तो वेरी हार्ड टू वैल्यू दिस कंपनी। क्योंकि अगर मैं सिंपली बताऊं तो स्टरलाइट वाटर में क्या होता है, मतलब आई ऑल्सो हैव अ मेडिकल बिजनेस मेरे फादर का। तो स्टरलाइट वाटर में क्या होता है कि सबसे पहला काम होता है कि वाटर को प्योरीफाई करते हैं, सोर्स लाते हैं, फिल्ट्रेशन निकालते हैं उसमें से। देन सेकंड स्टेप इज कि उसके जो सॉल्ट्स वगैरह होते हैं, माइक्रोब्स होते हैं, उसको रिमूव करते हैं थ्रू ऑस्मोसिस। देन देर इज डी आयोनाइजेशन जिसमें से ये मिनरल्स को निकाला जाता है, जैसे कैल्शियम होता है एंड बाकी क्लोराइड्स होते हैं। इसके बाद जो होता है इनका यूवी ट्रीटमेंट, जिसमें माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो भी होते हैं उनको यूवी रेस के थ्रू किल करा जाता है। देन द देयर इज प्रोसेस विच इज द सेकंड प्रोसेस जिसको कहते हैं स्टरलाइजेशन। तो उसमें वाटर को बहुत हीट करा जाता है, बेसिकली काइंड ऑफ बॉइलिंग द वाटर, एंड देन फिर उसका फिल्ट्रेशन होता है जिसमें फिल्टर यूज करा जाता है जिससे कि नेक्स्ट फर्दर होके कुछ जर्म्स वगैरह ना आए, एंड देन बस उसको स्टोर करके पैकेज कर दिया जाता है। तो दिस इज नॉट अ मोड काइंड ऑफ बिजनेस। इसमें इसमें क्या गेम हो सकता है कि भाई इफ दे हैव अ वेरी स्ट्रांग डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नेटवर्क, कि भाई डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ही इतना अच्छा है कि जो भी वॉल्यूम में बना रहे हैं वो सब निकल जा रहा है, तो कैपेसिटी बढ़ाएंगे तो अगला भी निकाल सकते हैं, बट उसके लिए वर्किंग कैपिटल भी अच्छा होना चाहिए। तो एक तो वो हो सकता है। प्लस अगर इनका प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो में ड्राई इंजेक्शन की तरफ ज्यादा जा रहे हैं तो उसमें तो मार्जिन ऑब्वियसली मच बेटर है। बट ओवरऑल अगर मैं अभी की बात करूं विदाउट एनी क्लैरिटी की आगे क्या करने वाले हैं, तो आई थिंक 36 का पोस्ट इशू इज टू मच फॉर देम in terms of price to earnings. Max, they can get 20 ka price to earnings on the current business that they are doing.
या सो इसमें ना ये दोनों यूनिट्स इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं। सो स्टेराइल वाटर का जो ये फर्स्ट पार्ट आपने बोला उसमें ये 100 ml टू 500 ml की पैकेजिंग बनाएंगे विच दे विल प्रोबेबली बी एबल टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट बिकॉज दे ऑलरेडी हैव कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स विद दीज फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनीज वेयर दे सेल देम द 5 ml टू 44 ml की पैकेजिंग। बट अगेन आई फील इसमें ना पैट मार्जिन प्रोफाइल जो है वो बहुत ही छोटी ही रहेगी। सो don't see a lot happening on the that side. Dry powder again, they are like dry powder में मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि इनकी डिमांड ऑलरेडी इंक्रीज हो रही है, बट वो अभी ना उसको पैट मार्जिन को इंक्रीज करने के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं, इसलिए उसमें वो ऑटोमेट कर रहे हैं उसकी जो मशीन लाइन है पैकेजिंग की, उसके लिए कुछ तो प्लांट वगैरह कुछ वो एक्सपेंस कर रहे हैं, कैपेक्स कर रहे हैं, बट अगेन ऑल ऑफ देम विल कम इन FY 26. सो तब देख लेंगे कंपनी को. आई डोंट फील कि अभी ऐसा कुछ बहुत ज्यादा जल्दी है टू लुक एट द कंपनी. Maybe with that, we have kind of covered the SME company which we wanted to talk about, and now we can move forward to the second company, which a lot of people want to know what they should do, because again, it seems like one of those uh, definite per se allotment companies. It's only about whether they want to apply or not apply. The name of the company is BlackBuck or Zinka Logistics, as the platform name goes. It's a digital platform for truck operators, which truck operators at times use per se. So अगर इस कंपनी का मैं IPO size की बात करूं तो around 1100 CR का IPO है, out of which around 550 CR is fresh issue, 550 CR is approx OFS, 50-50 टाइप का स्प्लिट है. कल आईपीओ बंद हो रहा है. वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग विच आई नोटिस वाज दैट HNI कोटा में बिल्कुल भी नहीं भरा है. इनफैक्ट देयर आर लाइक 7 big HNI applications in all who have applied. So it seems very difficult at least until day 2. But Tanmay, do you want to fundamentally cover the company and tell us what you think about the company, and then we'll go to others as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Zinka Logistics Solutions Limited, popularly known as BlackBuck, is India's largest digital platform for truck operators. तो इन्होंने FY 24 में 9.63 लाख ट्रक ऑपरेटर्स, जो ऑपरेटर्स इन्होंने इनका प्लेटफॉर्म यूज किया. तो ये कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं, इसलिए कि वन ट्रक ऑपरेटर शुड एटलीस्ट यूज वन सर्विस वन टाइम इन द कंप्लीट ईयर. ओके, तो इनका ये ट्रक ऑपरेटर्स में 27.5% मार्केट शेयर है पैन इंडिया. ओके, मतलब व्हाट इज द थिंग इज लाइक, इंडिया में करीब करीब 1.5 करोड़ ट्रक्स है. ओके, and a truck operator has like 3, 5, 7, 10 trucks. तो वो जो ओनर है वो 3, 5, 7 ट्रक्स का उसको ट्रक ऑपरेटर बोलते हैं. ओके, तो वैसा इन्होंने टोटल इंडिया में आई थिंक रफली कुछ 30 लाख ट्रक ऑपरेटर्स है, एंड टोटल 1.4, 1.5 करोड़ ट्रक्स, और उसमें से ये 9.6 लाख ट्रक्स ऑपरेटर्स को इन्होंने सर्व किया है FY 24 में. ओके, तो दिस कंपनी हैज 4 रेवेन्यू मॉडल्स. फर्स्ट वन इज द पेमेंट. तो ये पेमेंट में क्या करते हैं, टोलिंग एंड फ्यूलिंग. तो दिस टोल्स जो आप भरते हो रास्ते में ट्रैवल करने के टाइम पे, तो दिस कंपनी हैज इट्स ओन प्लेटफॉर्म वेयर इट हैज द पार्टनरशिप with the toll operators, and using their app, the truck drivers or the truck operators do the payment of the tolls. And the second one is the fueling. तो I think they had given a number कि इंडिया के 70% जो ये पेट्रोल डीजल के जो सारे पेट्रोलियम पॉइंट्स है, तो वहां पे ब्लैकबक चलता है. एंड आई थिंक यूजिंग ब्लैकबक्स ऐप दे do the payments of fueling. Okay, this is the first one. Second is telematics. Telematics में 2 चीजें हैं. First is the GPS. What is GPS? की a truck operator has 3 to 4 different trucks, and each truck has a different truck driver. So it's a monitoring kind of thing कि एक ट्रक ड्राइवर वो अपनी गाड़ी लेके कहां पर गया है, तो वो टू मॉनिटर दैट द GPS is used, which is been provided by BlackBuck to the operator of the truck. And the second one is fuel sensor. Fuel sensor is like कितना यूज हुआ, यू नो कि बहुत बार वो फ्यूल की चोरी भी होती है, तो टू ट्रैक दैट एंड कितना यूज हुआ, तो ऑल्सो फॉर दैट डिफरेंट अंडरस्टैंडिंग द एफिशिएंसी ऑफ द व्हीकल. तो ये 2 चीजें. द थर्ड वन इज लोड्स मार्केट प्लेस. तो अभी आपको एक चीज पता होगी कि यार समझो एक ट्रक है, इट इज बेस्ड इन दिल्ली और वो जा रहा है अहमदाबाद. तो दिल्ली से अहमदाबाद जाता है, बट वापिस आते हुए खाली आता है, तो ट्रक में कुछ नहीं होता है. तो दैट इज आई थिंक वो ट्रक ऑपरेटर का मार्जिन खाता है, बिकॉज उनका वन साइड पूरा खाली जाता है, एंड दे हैव टू गिव fuel costs and the driver takes his remuneration. So I think this company has made a marketplace where if there is any kind of load at the dropping point of their earlier load, मतलब जो दिल्ली से अहमदाबाद जा रहा है और आपने अहमदाबाद पे वो लोड दे दिया, तो वापिस वो वापिस या फिर किसी डेस्टिनेशन नियर बाय दैट पॉइंट कि वो वापिस कुछ दिल्ली या उसके रीजनल जगहों पे लेके जाएगा. तो आई थिंक उसका एक मार्केट प्लेस है. एंड द फोर्थ वन इज व्हीकल फाइनेंसिंग. तो समझो एक ट्रक ऑपरेटर है, he has 4 trucks currently and he want to buy the 5th one. So this company provides द फाइनेंस वाया थर्ड पार्टी फाइनेंसर्स लाइक कोई भी बैंक हो जाए, बड़ी एनबीएफसी हो जाए, तो दिस ब्लैकबक हैज पार्टनरशिप्स विद दोज एनबीएफसीज. ओके, दिस आर देयर फोर रेवेन्यू मॉडल्स एंड ये कैसे पैसे बनाते हैं. ओके, उसके भी तीन अलग चीजें हैं. फर्स्ट वन इज द सब्सक्रिप्शन. ईच सर्विस हैज इट्स ओन सब्सक्रिप्शन. द सेकंड वन इज द कमीशन. तो अभी समझो लोड मार्केट प्लेस है, तो जो सामने का जो दूसरा पर्सन जो इसको पे करेगा, ही विल ऑल्सो पे वाया द ऐप ओनली बिकॉज ही इज ऑल्सो यूजिंग द ब्लैकबक सब्सक्रिप्शन. तो उसका प्ले तो सब्सक्रिप्शन का इनकम आ रहा है. दूसरा है तो जो इन्होंने टोटल वो सामने के पार्टी ने पे करना है उसका एक परसेंटेज जाता है. द थर्ड वन इज की व्हीकल फाइनेंस आप जब कर रहे हो तो आपको मतलब मैंने एक नंबर निकाला कि दिस कंपनी डिड अ फाइनेंस ऑफ 273 करोड़ इन द जून क्वार्टर, मतलब पहले 3 महीने में 273 करोड़ का दे डिसबर्स द लोन्स, और इनको करीब करीब 78 लाख रुपीस का कमीशन है. तो उससे वो एकदम एग्जैक्ट 3% बैठता है, 0.3%. कि आप पूरे ट्रांजेक्शन का 0.3% ऑफ द लोन वैल्यू ये लेंगे, और जो भी इंटरेस्ट का पार्ट ये लेंगे, और जो भी कमीशन रहेगा उसका भी परसेंटेज दे टेक फ्रॉम दी लेंडर. ये तीन मॉडल्स है. अब दिस कंपनी इज रेजिंग 1115 crores. Okay, out of which 550 crores is a fresh issue and 565 crores is an OFS. फ्रेश इशू में ब्रेकअप है, लाइक चार चीजें हैं. फर्स्ट इज दी सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग कॉस्ट, उसके लिए 200 crores allocated है. सेकेंड वन इज फाइनेंसिंग दर एनबीएफसी सब्सिडरी BlackBuck FinServ Private Limited for 140 crores. अभी the company hasn't provided the clarity that कि ये एनबीएफसी सब्सिडरी से आप अपने खुद के प्लेटफॉर्म से फाइनेंस करोगे, लाइक रिमूविंग द थर्ड पार्टी लेंडर, खुद फाइनेंस करेंगे, या फिर टू जस्ट increase the like scale of the operations 140. I feel the first one is more relevant because 140 crores आपको expansion वो प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए नहीं लगता है, बट आई थिंक मैनेजमेंट हैजंट क्लैरिफाइड दैट वेल. आरएस में भी इसका कोई अच्छा सा कोई एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं दिया हुआ है. सो वी आर जस्ट अज्यूमिंग कि फ्यूचर में ये खुद अपने ऐप से अपनी ही एनबीएफसी से फाइनेंस करेंगे तो उनका मार्जिन उससे बेटर आएगा. एंड दी थर्ड वन थिंग इज प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट 75 crores. एंड द फोर्थ वन इज जनरल कॉर्पोरेट पर्पस जीसीपी, उसके लिए 135 crores. अब मैं इसके फाइनेंशियल्स पे आता हूँ. In FY23, the company did a revenue of 176 crores and EBITDA of minus 154 crores. मतलब EBITDA level पे 85% losses and net loss was 290 crores. Okay, FY24, the revenue jumped to 297 crores. EBITDA was positive 13 crores. The company turned EBITDA positive in FY24 and the loss was still 194 crores. And then Q1 अचानक से numbers मतलब out of nowhere अच्छे हो जाते हैं. Revenue jumped from I think 70 crores in Q1 to 92 crores and their EBITDA is now at 18 crore positive and did the PAT of 29 crore something. इसमें एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ऐसी है कि इनका एक एक्सेप्शनल गेन था 25 करोड़ का, इसकी वजह से इनका 28 करोड़ का पैट आया. बट अगर मैं उसको निकाल दूं तो इन्होंने 2.9 करोड़ का पैट किया. आई थिंक स्टिल एट द नेट लेवल दे आर प्रॉफिटेबल. ओके, अभी मैं इस पे ना कुछ पहले बात तो ये कंपनी मार्केट क्या पा रहा है 4,820 करोड़ का. अब मैं ना इसके कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग बातें बताता हूँ. तो ओएफएस में दो अलग फंड्स, आई थिंक 5-6-7 फंड्स है, उसमें से दो फंड्स है. फर्स्ट वन इज सेक्वाया कैपिटल, नाउ उसका नया नाम है पिक एक्स3. ओके, दे आर सेलिंग देयर शेयर्स एट 12% लॉस. ओके, which they invested in 2021. And the second one is Stripe Capital. They're selling the shares at 44% loss, which they invested in 2021. By the way, this company was an unicorn. कोविड में जब आपको पता होगा, ये जब नया नया फास्ट टैग का चीज आया था, तो ये पूरे ट्रक ऑपरेटर्स की तरफ से हेवी डिमांडेड सर्विस था और बहुत बूम आया था इन चीजों में. तो दैट टाइम ब्लैकबक was entered the coveted unicorn club and then it lost its tag in this IPO itself. And जो इन्वेस्टर्स ने उसको यूनिकॉर्न बना, नाउ दे आर सेलिंग एट 40, वन ऑफ देयर इन्वेस्ट ट्रैक कैपिटल सेलिंग एट 44% लॉस. ओके, इसका और एक चीज ये भी है कि मतलब बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग, आई थिंक बहुत रेयरली होता है ये चीजें. जस्ट आई थिंक 2 days after filing the RHP, 59 lakh shares were transferred to the promoter Rajesh Kumar Yabaji. Okay, and this were transferred from 3-4 funds like Sands Capital, IFC, which is World Bank's P fund. The third one is Tiger Global, and the fourth one is interesting. Co-founder नहीं, उनको हृदय करके, चाणक्य हृदय करके इनका co-founder है और एक, उन्होंने ही दिए हैं. तो आई थिंक प्रमोटर राजेश याबाजी को गिफ्ट क्यों करना पड़ा आपको 59 लाख शेयर? आई थिंक उसका वैल्यू अच्छा होता है। आई थिंक कंपनी का एक आई थिंक 0.5% इक्विटी काइंड ऑफ थिंग गिफ्ट किया, और उसमें से एक इन्वेस्टर से जो लॉस में है ऑलरेडी, तो लॉस होके भी उसने शेयर्स गिफ्ट किए हैं उसको विथ जीरो कंसिडरेशन। और एक चीज है कि पोस्ट द आईपीओ प्रमोटर विल हैव अ स्टेक इन द कंपनी ऑफ आई थिंक 27.85% रफली। तो बहुत कम है पहली बात तो। आई थिंक एटलीस्ट आई नो कि द स्टार्टअप्स हैव टू डाइल्यूट टू just to fund their losses and the cash burn, but I think still 27% is pretty low. तो थोड़ा और हो सकता था। एंड आई थिंक वन मोर इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज लाइक विच आई फील कैन डू वेल फॉर द कंपनीज, दे हाइव्ड ऑफ और सोल्ड देयर कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड बिजनेस। आई थिंक दिस कंपनी वाज हैड स्टार्टेड इन 2000 आई थिंक 13 और तब उन्होंने कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड बिजनेस से स्टार्ट किया था, देन दे वेंचर्ड इनटू दैट टेक बिजनेस। तो दिस कंपनी हाइव्ड ऑफ इट्स कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड बिजनेस इन दिस ऑगस्ट ऑफ दिस करंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर for a slump sale of 96 crores. Okay, तो slump sale है, दिस इज नॉट अ कैश सेल। ओके, सो इनका एक कंपनी था, एक दूसरा कंपनी है दिल्ली बेस्ड जैस्ट लॉजिटेक करके, उनको इन्होंने 93 करोड़ में इन्होंने बेचा है। एंड सी व्हाट इज द कंसीडरेशन ऑफ द सेल, कि आप आपके कंपनी के 11 से 13% इक्विटी इशू कर दो, उसका अभी तक वैल्यूएशन आरएसपी में नहीं दिया है, इट्स नॉट फिक्स्ड। 11 to 13% में कुछ इक्विटी मिलेगा वो जैस्ट लॉजिस्टिक्स का ब्लैकबक को। आई थिंक क्यों ये कैश कंसिडरेशन सेल नहीं, वी डोंट नो, बिकॉज बुक वैल्यू पे तो इसका 65 करोड़ दिख रहा है। बिकॉज सी मतलब इन्होंने स्लम सेल ही किया, तो आई थिंक उस पर क्लैरिटी नहीं है बिल्कुल। आई थिंक मैं इसका फाइनेंशियल ब्रेकअप करना चाहता था, बट इन्होंने वो भी प्रोवाइड नहीं किया। देव जस्ट गिवन दी प्रोफार्मा रेवेन्यूज एंड बैलेंस शीट। तो उसमें इन्होंने FY24 में दिस कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड बिजनेस डिड अ नेट लॉस ऑफ 27 करोड़। तो यार मतलब ऐसा है ना कि फर्स्ट थिंग की लैक ऑफ क्लैरिटी, बहुत चीजों पे अभी तक क्लैरिटी नहीं है। द सेकंड वन इज लाइक आई थिंक ये जो कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड का बिजनेस हाइव ऑफ था, आई थिंक इस पे एक चीज अच्छी ये है कि दिस इज द ओनली सेगमेंट ऑफ द कंपनी विच वाज वर्किंग कैपिटल इंटेंसिव। तो बाकी के जो बिजनेसेस है दे आर एवरीथिंग टेक इनेबल्ड बिजनेसेस, तो उनके लिए वर्किंग कैपिटल नहीं लगता, यू जस्ट नीड द एम्प्लॉइज। बट दिस बिजनेस नीडेड एन वर्किंग कैपिटल। मतलब ये अभी बेचने के बाद फ्रॉम द ऑगस्ट दिस कंपनी इज एक्चुअली नेगेटिव वर्किंग कैपिटल कंपनी। तो आई थिंक इससे इनका बैलेंस शीट पहली बात स्ट्रेंथन होगा, दैट इज द फर्स्ट गुड थिंग। द सेकंड वन इज लाइक बीइंग अ टेक एंड प्लेटफॉर्म बिजनेस, इनका ऑपरेशनल लेवरेज बहुत ज्यादा है। तो आई थिंक आपने रिसेंटली यूनिकॉमर्स में देखा होगा कि आफ्टर अटेनिंग अ स्केल ऑफ 100 करोड़, एक कंपनी ने 100 का 110 करोड़ के, तो उनके पैट मतलब लिटरली 6 से 10 करोड़ हो गया। इट्स नॉट कि उन्होंने कुछ गिमिक किया बैलेंस शीट में, इट्स ड्यू टू द हाई ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज। कि यार बाद में का आफ्टर स्केल वॉट एवर रेवेन्यूज कम दैट डायरेक्टली फ्लोज इनटू द बैलेंस शीट, सॉरी दी P&L, तो उससे प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ता है। आई थिंक सिमिलर थिंग इज विद दिस कंपनी। बट यार कि ये नया नया बिजनेस उन्होंने हाइव ऑफ किया है। Q1 वॉज उसमें भी ये कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेड का बिजनेस था। अगर मैं उसको आई थिंक उसका भी इन्होंने एबिटा दे कि उन्होंने 18 करोड़ का पॉजिटिव एबिटा किया। आई थिंक दैट्स अ गुड थिंग। अगर मैं पूरे साल का भी ले लूं तो ये रफली कर सकते हैं कुछ 60-70-80-100 करोड़ मैक्स। बट आप अगर वैल्यूएशन देखो तो 4800 करोड़ का वैल्यूएशन है। मतलब यार FY25 जहां मतलब पहली बात तो लॉस मेकिंग स्टार्टअप है। द सेकंड थिंग इज कुछ चीजें हैं जिसपे क्लैरिटी नहीं है। And I think the bad part of this company is like, how should we as an investor, how should I value this company? I think for me there is no kind of multiple, कोई भी तरह किसी भी तरह की that how should I value this company। एक सिंपल मल्टीपल आता है जो बहुत मतलब चाइल्डिश लगता है मुझे पर्सनली, कि प्राइस टू आई थिंक सेल्स अपॉन मार्केट कैप, सॉरी मार्केट कैप अपॉन सेल्स। तो आई थिंक वैसा भी मैं करूँ तो देख TTM बेसिस पे 360 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू बनेगा साल का। 400 स्ट्रेच कर लो, बिकॉज H2 इज अ हैवी बिजनेस और मार्जिन भी अच्छे होते हैं वहां पे। 420 करोड़ पे भी करीब 12 टाइम्स पे आ रहा है। एंड आई थिंक ऐसे बिजनेसेस फॉरेन में मिलते हैं 8 टाइम्स पे। इसके 2 लिस्टेड पीयर्स है इन फॉरेन, इन द US। एक और कंपनी, बट आई थिंक वो बहुत ही उसका बहुत से फंडामेंटल्स बहुत अलग है उसके। दैट इज ऑल्सो रिसेंटली प्रॉफिटेबल स्टार्टअप, 2-4 करोड़ का उन्होंने पैट किया। आई थिंक वो भी US की कंपनी है। तो आई थिंक 12-13 टाइम्स रेवेन्यू is not an public market investing, it's a VC style investing, which as a public investor I personally cannot do। तो मतलब ओवरऑल मैं इस कंपनी की बात करूं ना, ये कंपनी बिल्कुल बुरी नहीं है, अच्छी कंपनी है। it can do well. I think one of a kind business है और शायद अगले 10 साल में भी ऐसा सेम टू सेम बिजनेस इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट्स में नहीं आने वाला है. बट द सेकंड थिंग एग्जिस्ट कि यार ये फिर ये इन्वेस्टर्स की लॉस में बेच रहे. आई थिंक वन रीजन ऑफ दैट कुड बी लाइक उनका 3 या 4 साल का जो 3-3.5 साल का जो फंड लाइफ होता है वो खत्म हो रहा है. सो दिस इन्वेस्टर्स आर नोन टू सेल एट वॉट एवर प्रॉफिट लॉस दे हैव आफ्टर 3-3.5 years. तो आई थिंक मेरा इस पे व्यू रहेगा कि आईपीओ को आपने क्लियर कट अवॉइड कर देना चाहिए. एंड आई थिंक आफ्टर गेटिंग अ ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड ऑफ एटलीस्ट द Q2 numbers you can evaluate or explore this company. But I think due to lack of clarity and कि मैं इसको कैसे वैल्यू करूं, एंड आई थिंक प्रमोटर होल्डिंग लो है, ये ब्लैकबक फिनसर्व के साथ कैसे काम करेंगे, कॉर्पोरेट फ्रेट का बिजनेस का क्या बिजनेस प्रोफाइल है, कितना रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ आएगा यहाँ से, बिकॉज अभी बेस थोड़ा सा अच्छा हो चुका है. सी नाउ 300-350 करोड़ रेवेन्यू इज अ डिसेंट बेस. वो 100-150 करोड़ का बेस नहीं है, तो इस पे क्या कंपनी ग्रोथ कर पाएगी. तो आई थिंक देयर आर मोर क्वेश्चंस देन द आंसर्स. आई थिंक इस पे एक फाइनल ये हो सकता है कि एक्सट्रीमली हाई रिस्क टेकर्स कैन अप्लाई फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म. बट आई वुड जस्ट से कि यार आप आईपीओ को स्किप कर सकते हो, बिकॉज एक फनी थिंग ये भी कि सेकंड डे ऑफ द आईपीओ खत्म हो चुका है, सिर्फ 7 बिगेस्ट एप्लीकेशन, वो भी शायद आई नो 1 person हु हैज बिडेड 4. तो एक्चुअली वो अगर वो बंदे को भी निकाल दो, सिर्फ 3 बिगेस्ट एप्लीकेशन सही है इसकी. तो आई थिंक दिस सेज की लाइक सेंटिमेंट खराब है, सब्सक्रिप्शन नहीं आ रहा है, आईपीओ विल सेल ड्यू टू QIBs. आई थिंक यू शुड जस्ट अवॉइड इट. जीएमपी 0 है, 0 पे भी कोई बायर नहीं है. निगेटिव में अभी तक, शायद कल चला जाएगा निगेटिव श्योरली. तो you should just avoid the IPO, explore it for long term after getting Q2 numbers. जो safe place है Q3 का नंबर देख के एक point of view बनाना चाहिए due to the valuation concerns.
Got it. Kind of covered a lot of points. Rohit, can you hear me? Do you want to go ahead and talk about your view?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank God. Okay. Sorry, this has been a very strange sort of spaces where I can hear some people, not hear some people. Anyway, glad that it's working. So I'll just try to clarify a couple of points that Tanmay said where, there's lack of clarity. And I don't think it's just Tanmay. I've seen this across the board. I saw there's this well-known YouTuber, PR Sundar, who has like 1 million followers, for some reason pick on this company. And it's not about picking on this company, it's picking on very specific points, which I'd expect somebody like him to, do a little bit of research and understand before picking on this in certain ways. So I'll start with the point on the gifting shares. And I'm telling this from my experience as a founder who has had somewhat of a similar experience as well, and knowing how VC term sheets work. But there is this concept of anti-dilution. There's a concept of a liquidation preference. What that basically means is if the company raises money at a lower valuation in the future, the last time the company raised money at say $1 billion, now the company is having to raise this IPO round at $500 million. What happens is both these clauses, so in this case it's the anti-dilution clause that will kick in. It will mean that the older investors will continue to maintain their shareholding. What that means is that your promoters who have regular equity shares, whereas these other investors or these later investors, VC investors who come in, they have preferential shares, and and only preferential shares have these rights. So that means that generally when you have a big discount, a large discounted down round, a promoter shareholding will get disproportionately, like say if he had 27%, it'll become 10%. It'll become 9%. It'll become extremely low because you're raising at half the valuation, but the existing investors will not get diluted at all. That's what the anti-dilution clause does. In order to circumvent this, you get gifted shares. It's a very common thing. Obviously, it's probably new in the public market, but this is the way, the existing investors will try to protect it. Usually this is done on a, I'd say handshake basis. When you sort of sign these term sheets, you kind of know that if something like this would happen, it means it's happening in a, bad time. The investors say that we will protect your interest. We won't make it such that your shareholding becomes so low that you stop being, interested in running this company. That is what has happened in this gifted shares. So I don't expect everyone to understand this. This is a negotiation that would have happened between, the promoter and the investors, and the investors would have finally agreed that this is the amount that we would gift. It's basically to try and claw back some of that shareholding that the promoter lose because of these anti-dilution / liquidation preference. Defense liquidation is when the company is sold, and anti-dilution is when there is a fresh, round raised. I hope that kind of helps, clarify this gifted share point, because I've heard this so many in multiple, even in, I think the Z business video, this was brought up. The second point was on the promoter shareholding. Again, I think Tanmay has mentioned this, it does become, like in the case of startups, you do have to raise rounds, you do end up diluting. But again, there's nothing uncommon about this. Just look at Deepinder Goyal's shareholding in Zomato. It's like 4%. Look at where that company is. So you'll have to put in a slightly different lens here and not worry about promoter shareholding in something like this. Look at how quickly they've created value for themselves. They still own 30% of the company. Let's say it was worth $1 billion, 30% of $1 billion in like 10 years of execution is phenomenal. So again, I don't put a lot of weight on things like promoter shareholding. These are all technocrat founders who usually have very, very, large ambition. And this kind of promoter shareholding means very little because they are instead going to look at compounding that far faster than, a traditional sort of promoter who might own 70-80% of the company. The third thing was, I know the P&L, Tanmay has covered this, P&L is supremely negative. It's mostly because of that, freight business. That was the model they started with. I remember BlackBuck when they launched. There was one more company called Rivigo at the same time. Both of them kind of started with the same model, which was a very asset heavy model. BlackBuck in parallel, at least the good thing is they went down this technology route, or they embraced the technology route very strongly, and they have been able to pivot fully to a technology company from being a very asset heavy company 10 years ago when they started, and that has allowed them, I'd say, to come into the markets. Having said all of that, I don't necessarily say that the valuations are good or it is subscribable. I would just view this, now they have completely hived off the business, the sort of, I'd say, asset heavy businesses. Today, as of Q1, this company is purely a technology business. View this entirely in that light. They've done 300 crore last year of just technology revenue. They will do probably 400 crore this year, just looking at the growth, maybe 400, 450 crore. Ascribe a multiple based on that. Most of these companies are, as Tanmay said, they're going to have significant operating leverage. You cannot value this on PAT. There is no point. You cannot look at Unicommerce PAT and say it's at 200p. It is not trading at 200p. It is trading at 20 times sales. You can't look at a MapMy India and say that it's trading at whatever 80p. It is trading at 25 times sales. The expectation is that these companies will have significant operating leverage and that will blow the, P multiples 3 years down the line. So 200 will become 40. And that, looking at trailing multiples is pointless. Honestly, I think today the market, whatever technology companies come, get valued on sales multiples. And some kind of maybe FY26, FY27, FY28 kind of P multiples if you are, really good at making those kind of projections. This company, I think, is coming at, that's like 12, 13x. I still think that's high. I've always felt that, 10x sort of the thing is a good range, but Unicommerce kind of changed my mind. It has actively traded around 20x. Something like MapMy India is a very good peer actually. Trades at 23, 25x. I'm not very keen myself on applying for this. Maybe if I apply, I'll apply for like an SH and I lot, couple of lakhs to just keep. I don't expect a lot of listing in. The market is just not right for it. Clearly, this company 3 years ago was valued at twice the valuation. So when the market is good, a company like this will get an incredible, sort of premium and multiple. But when the market is bad, this is the first kind of company that will also crash and burn. So let's hope in the next year or two, they're able to amp up the profitability and become a lot more sustainable. But I think as a company, it's a very unique company doing very, very different things, growing amazingly. I think Q1 last year to this quarter, they've grown 55%. The market always rewards that kind of hyper growth. So I'm not very negative, but not positive for listing gain either, mostly because of the market mood. If I apply, I will just apply for a very, very small quantity, just sort of almost like a tracking position, and then see how it goes and take a call in the future. It is only for high risk takers. The market has sort of proven that to us now the last few weeks.
Thank you for the clarification. Actually, एक startup वाला बंदा चाहिए shortly on the panel, because but I think if I see this company, it will see the promoter said clearly that our H2 is almost 60% kind of historical it has been. So I think this company can do almost like a kind of 450 crores revenue top line this year, and like 18, 20, 21% kind of EBITDA. तो उस पे कभी करीब 90-100 करोड़ 80 to 100 करोड़ EBITDA आता है अगले साल. That would be like roughly I think 140-150 crores EBITDA, which is like roughly 32 times FY26 EBITDA. But like it looks like it's not very badly valued. It's decently valued. But the thing is like, मेरा इस पे यही व्यू कि यार एक दो क्वार्टर्स अगर आ जाए इसके, I think which would provide more stability, then it can be a good bet. But the thing is, after that hiving of how the business works, I think it's the first year for this company to fully run at an technology enabled platform kind of thing. पहले उन पे corporate threat था, which was an asset heavy model. पूरा asset light model पे I think they have a limited track record, and if they prove in the Q2 Q3, at least Q3 तो शायद दूर हो जाएगा, तब तक अगर अच्छा कुछ परफॉर्म जाए तो डिस्काउंट हो जाएगा. If the Q2 results are good, then this can be watched out. But yes, कि यार लॉन्ग टर्म वाला बेटा इस पे शायद लिस्टिंग पे तो नहीं बनेगा पैसा. तो आई थिंक इंटरेस्टिंग कंपनी, यूनिक बिजनेस, बट आई थिंक थोड़ा सा और रुक सकते हैं इसके लिए. नॉट एट ऑल अ वेरी बैड बिजनेस, गुड बिजनेस.
Got it. I also have a couple of points to add here. I remember this also was brought up by Rohit, right? Unicommerce be around 10, 11 market cap to sales पे आएगा. And at that moment also we thought it was like handsomely valued and didn't leave much on the table, but then it went ahead and became a 2x. So I think these companies, difficult to value them, depends a lot on how market is behaving at that moment of time. It was, if it had came in at slightly different time, maybe there could have been some listing gains on table, because again, it's a unique business. Having said that, I have worked for Rivigo personally. So I understand where that model kind of was flowed. A lot of it was because of just being asset heavy in order to switch the drivers, and it just doesn't make sense. Because in India, people want the truck drivers to have good life, to be able to go back home every day, but they don't want to pay for it, at least the corporates. So you will always struggle with profitability at that level. But this company right now, the spin-off, is a tech company. So again, you can think of it as having huge operating leverage going forward. So it can turn, but again, it's a long-term story. So there's nothing on the table, at least for short-term folks. For long-term, I feel you will get it on listing day as well. Just see how the listing is. I anticipate a very muted listing for this. So basis that you can take a call. Maybe one last question from my side, Tanmay. Anything on the anchor book which you found interesting, Version?
आई थिंक द एंकर बुक वाज गुड ऑनेस्टली. आई थिंक जो मैंने नाम एक्सपेक्ट करे थे उससे तो अच्छी ही थी एंकर बुक. आई थिंक वन इंटरेस्टिंग नेम इट वाज लाइक, आई लाइक द fund is MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I think they are known to pick good companies at last, because I think Platinum Industries, which did very well, and I think I had a similar discussion कि यार Platinum इनको क्या दिख रहा है. But I think I just studied the company and I understood कि यार क्या दिख रहा है इनको. I think for थोड़ा सा मिक्स काइंड ऑफ स्टेड वेव कैपिटल भी था. आई थिंक दे आर नोन टू इन्वेस्ट इन द IPOs, एंड आई थिंक बेट उनका भी आई थिंक जो QIB में सिंगल बिड है वो भी उन्हीं का है, एज पर माई नॉलेज. So anchor book was actually good. I won't say that it's a bad, but the thing is like I am a bit neutral at this point, but I may be positive. I think after the Q2 numbers, so I think sure will explore this company, because I just see this company like yeah, Unicommerce is getting a kind of a 20 multiple on sales, which is going to grow at roughly 15% on a top line basis, and I think PAT can be 30 to 40% due to the high operating leverage. But this company is going to grow at 30 to 40% CAGR revenue growth. I think at least 20 to 30% surely for next 3 years. And the PAT, we don't know, but it can be good. Like this company can do like roughly 30 crores PAT this year. Next it can be like 50, 60 crores. So I think a market may value this company at a very good multiple, but when markets turn good, जब तक वो मार्केट्स बहुत अच्छे नहीं होते, वी डोंट नो स्टॉक आपको कहाँ पे मिल जाएगा, कितने नीचे या फिर कितने उधर ही साइडवेज मिला है. तो आई थिंक वेट एंड वॉच फॉर दिस IPO फ्रॉम माय पार्ट.
Oh, I was on mute. My bad. Sorry. This time I was genuinely on mute and I was speaking. But yeah, so as I was saying, nothing in this company, at least for the short term, because sentiment seems super bad. So let's wait per se and for the sentiment to change. Even if I apply, I will also apply one lot and try and get some allotment to be able to add it to the tracking list and to have it in the watch list for long term. But again, nothing in it for the short term. With that, maybe just want to highlight two things. If you have any questions with respect to what we have mentioned, I understand we are running slightly short on time. Sorry about that, but do post them in the chat box in comments. We'll take all the questions. Second, ऊपर मैंने YouTube चैनल पोस्ट किया हुआ है, तो अगर आपने कुछ मिस किया है तो गो ahead and follow the YouTube चैनल. अभी तक हमने दो कंपनी की बात कर चुके हैं, Onyx और Zinka, BlackBuck. Now we'll move forward to NTPC Green per se, just seeing if there are any questions which we have to take, or we can move forward to the last issue with this NTPC Green. Okay, we can, just one thing, I see a few questions with respect to Rajesh Power. Again, we'll take it next week. Acme Solar, we had already covered it last week, so can go ahead and listen to that. We'll bring some portion of it, some flavor of it when we are talking about NTPC Green, but major discussion would be related to NTPC Green. Maybe with that, we can move forward and talk about the last company, which is NTPC Green, and it's again a very awaited IPO per se. A lot of people were tracking it, including myself, and I had also bought one stock of NTPC to be eligible for its shareholder quota. Everything seems to be going in vain right now, where I feel because the pricing, at least at a very high level, looks slightly high to me. Doesn't seem to seems to go completely against how IREDA was placed, the last government PSU IPO per se. But yeah, with that, maybe let me just set it up for Rohit how NTPC Green company, it's a 10,000 CR IPO. All of it is fresh issue, which is good because the company will be using it. And it essentially is a wholly owned subsidiary of NTPC, and the company is a renewable energy company focusing on undertaking projects of generating energy through solar, through wind, etc. So maybe Rohit, do you want to go ahead and talk about the company, what you feel about it?
Thanks, Manish. So yeah, I'll cover NTPC Green, and I did see those questions on Acme Solar. So yes, there'll be a little bit of touching on Acme Solar because it is now a peer, and it will sort of get noticed when I cover how NTPC is valued. So let me get started. So NTPC Green is a wholly owned subsidiary of NTPC, which is the largest power producer in the country. They do, of course, mainly thermal. That is NTPC, the parent. But NTPC Green itself is the largest renewable energy public sector enterprise in India. They have about so they mainly do solar. 97% of what they do is solar. They do a little bit of wind also, and they're present across multiple states, and that is mostly like a diversification to ensure that whatever risk of a particular state or risk of say adverse weather and all is sort of taken care of. Today they have about 3.3 gigawatt of operational capacity. What NTPC Green would do is they would secure the financing, they would build the plant, that is this power plant, typically via some kind of third-party EPC players. They would get the land, then they'd build the plant, then they would operate it, and then they would secure these long-term power purchasing agreements, which typically last, you'll get a fixed tariff for a period of 25 years. This is exactly the model that Acme Solar also did. So, I will do some callbacks to that company. So it's suddenly in like 2 weeks, they're having companies that do the same thing. Here, the biggest off-taker, that is the biggest people that they have this power purchasing agreement, is the state discoms, which is, and I think the biggest one is the Telangana discom, but it's basically the state utilities that ultimately then supply power to the country. Today, they have, like I said, 3.3 gigawatt of operational capacity, but they also have 13.5 gigawatt of contracted projects, and they have another 9 gigawatt of capacity under pipeline. We know that the government has set, very, very steep target of 500 gigawatt of renewables by 530. We're right now at 200 gigawatt. So there is huge headroom for growth. And that's why this whole sector has been getting, incredible multiples as a whole. Now the biggest question that people ask over and over is the valuations. So they're raising 10,000 crore, which is fully fresh issue. That's something, many people like. So I personally don't distinguish too much between fresh issue and OFS, but they're raising 10,000 crore. 7,500 crore will be used to pare down debt. But again, don't read this as paring down debt, because this is a business where you will always continuously keep taking debt. So they're simply paring down debt to take more debt in the future. It doesn't mean they're going to actually reduce their debt on a steady state basis. This is ultimately a capex play. this business is coming at a 91,000 crore market cap at a price band of, upper band of 108, which obviously sent a lot of people in a tizzy, given that there was some expectation that this will come at 40, 50 rupees in that range. What I will try and do is just justify that pricing. So when I first looked at NTPC Green, I thought, what the hell, what kind of stupid, pricing is this? I am going to blindly avoid it. But then when I compared it with Adani, with Acme Solar, obviously by itself, and then looked at, so you obviously want to give government companies some kind of discount for whatever reasons. There are a bunch of reasons that all, PSUs get a discount, but somehow IREDA doesn't get that discount. So I'll just try to cover this, I'll just try to cover the basics of this, and then of course you guys can take your call. But there are today 3 players in this market. There's Adani Green, there's Acme Solar, there's NTPC Green. These are in the public market. I'll start with Acme, which we covered. So they operationalize about 2.5 gigawatt. So they have 2.5 gigawatt of capacity. They are going to generate, or they're going to add another 6 to 6.5 gigawatt of capacity by FY27. So when they say 3 gigawatt, that 3 gigawatt is technology, or this terminology called FDRE, which is like basically 24-hour power supply, which basically gets double the tariff of a normal, just solar or wind. And so even though they're saying they're going to add another 3 gigawatt of FDRE, that's equal to actually 6 gigawatt of the normal when you do apple to apple comparison. So Acme essentially is going to, they have about 3 gigawatt now. They're going to take that to 9 gigawatt by FY27. NTPC is at 3 gigawatt right now, but they are going to take this to 19 gigawatt by FY27. Adani Green, which is the other peer, is at 11 gigawatt right now, and they will take it around 28 gigawatt by FY27. These numbers are important. I mean, maybe they will not register as I talk, but maybe if you listen to it again, it'll kind of make sense. But this is just to give you that sort of starting point that Acme will have 9 gigawatt by FY27, NTPC will have 19 gigawatt by FY27, and Adani Green will have 28 gigawatt by FY27. The reason this is important is because this business is one of the most predictable businesses you can have in the market, because they make, these companies have 25-year long, agreements. The pricing is fixed. This pricing doesn't change over 25 years because there is no operational cost to running a solar plant. You have to a little bit clean the panels and stuff, but otherwise these guys all operate 90% margin, and the life of a panel is 25 years. And so therefore they can run these, plants for 25 years with minimal operating costs. So the rate does not change because all of the rate is sort of baked into the capex. So the valuations today of Acme, and so because you can sort of project this, exactly how much money this company is going to generate in FY25, FY26, FY27. And, if you sort of have capacity beyond that, you can project then as well. But I would say the market is probably looking at an FY27 kind of number, because all of these projects are under progress and there's very, very high visibility to them launching, in these respective timelines and sort of launching by FY27. So today, Acme, its valuation is at about 1,500 crore per gigawatt of FY27 capacity. NTPC is around 5,000 crore per gigawatt of FY27 capacity, and Adani Green is at 8,500 crore per gigawatt of FY27 capacity. Another sort of metric that will kind of get to the same thing is an EV EBITDA metric. So again, these guys operate at 85 to 90% EBITDA because again, there's barely any operating cost. And 1 gigawatt of capacity will generate 700 to 800 crore of EBITDA across the board in the case of renewables. So if the company is going to have, let's say NTPC is going to have 19 gigawatt of capacity by FY27, when that capacity is running and operating fully, they will generate 15,000 crore of EBITDA, because that is the agreement. The agreement with the government discoms is they will make this much money, they will sell it for this much, and this is the EBITDA margin, which is a sort of steady state EBITDA margin. So how much money they'll make. So on a run rate basis, again, if I just take an EV EBITDA metric, which is the typical metrics here in Adani, or an Acme or NTPC, all of these guys should get valued at. Acme is trading at about 3x that FY27 EBITDA. NTPC is trading at about 7x FY27 EBITDA, and Adani is about 13x FY27 EBITDA. So what this broadly says is NTPC Green has actually come at a 40% discount to Adani. If you look at FY24 or FY25 numbers, it will not be that obvious. But given everyone's plans are sort of set in stone, everything is currently in progress, and the market is always discounting the future. This is my read, of course. I mean, each of you can view it as you wish, but there is a big discount actually for NTPC Green relative to Adani. Now, what does typically, what is the discount that a government player gets over a private sector? Generally, the discount can be 30, 40, 50, 60%, right? I don't know where exactly this will fall. Interestingly, IREDA, which is the only other pure play renewable, in this case, obviously financing player, a government entity, trades at a 5.5 times price to book. That is a super rich valuation for a PSU. In fact, it's a super rich valuation for a private company. I mean, your best NBFCs in India don't trade at, maybe like a Bajaj, and they trade at like 5x. In fact, it's more expensive than even a Bajaj. So, is that the sort of, play that a renewable NBFC or a renewable PSU does get a premium and can be compared to something like an Adani? That's the only play. So I just say that when I started out, I was outright negative on this. I thought there's no way this makes any sense. But once you run the numbers, and I believe that this is how the numbers will be run by any fund, by anyone who's sort of studying this company in depth and taking a call whether to invest 100 crore, 200 crore, whatever, a mutual fund or whatever, all of these big QIBs who will come and invest will do these kind of calculations. And with that, there's actually a decent amount of value on the table. So yeah, it definitely feels a bit risky, but I'm actually going to watch this very closely, look at the subscriptions, see the QIB subscriptions, and take a call on the final day. This is not a blind avoid like it was once upon a time. I think the other thing that came out with this like sort of detailed calculation is that Acme Solar is, just trading at absolute rock bottom prices. It had this GST notice that came, so clearly the market knew about it because the GST actual thing happened on 13th of November and the notice came on 14th, and that sort of killed it. I'm actually kind of hoping that is the reason why it fell. And hopefully once that sort of shakeout is out, people will actually realize the value that is left on the table with something like an Acme. So we'll see how that also take few weeks. I think Q3 results will be very important for Acme because it will show the latest capacity and it'll sort of just double its EBITDA, immediately, on a Q-on-Q basis. So that might be the trigger for it. So anyway, that's just on Acme since I did see a few questions on it. Overall, NTPC Green is way more expensive than Acme, but actually much cheaper than Adani. So that is my read. We'll see. I don't know what Tanmay, Manish, Yash, what you guys feel about it. I am actually not as negative as I was, just like say a week ago.
I think,
Got it.
so
Okay.
I'll ask something. Sir, FY27, I'll just ask the capacities. NTPC is 19 gigawatt, correct? 19.
Okay. That's what they have stated.
Adani is 26.
28. Basically, they're saying they'll add
28.
5, 6.
28 and Acme is how much?
Acme will be 9. Once you account for the FDRE, which NTPC doesn't do and Adani has almost minuscule. FDRE is basically double the capacity of typical solar. So it's around 9 on an equivalent basis.
So if I consider these numbers, Adani is trading at 13.2 times FY27 EBITDA. NTPC is coming at 14 times FY27 EBITDA. And Acme Solar is trading at 5.8 to 6 times FY27 EBITDA. So 40% discount kahan se aaya?
No, it's not. No, this is coming. 19 means these guys will generate about 15,000 crore EBITDA, which is about 7 times. Today, this is coming at a 93,000 crore. Yeah.
And
even for Acme, the number is it's around 7,000 crore, where they're at 20,000 crore, I think, EV right now. So it's at 3x. Like Acme is just unbelievably cheap. I mean, I don't even get it. But let's leave that aside. That looks like I don't know. There's something maybe random, so I'm not counting it. But just between NTPC and Adani, this is where it stands.
I think one differentiator between Acme, Adani, and NTPC can be is what I feel that NTPC shouldn't get a premium about both of them is NTPC does EPC O&M work at outsource. It doesn't do its O&M work. It does outsourcing, and due to those their operational costs get heavier. And Acme has its own inbuilt EPC O&M, and similar is with Adani. And Adani has few more projects except the power generation in FY27. They have few different plants, and even Acme has. Now we will say that green ammonia to NTPC bhi kar raha hai. But I think the execution matters, and the thing of this O&M EPC also matters. So why shouldn't we value NTPC at 20 to 30% discount to this guys? Or is
I
the
don't disagree. I don't disagree. See, there is a overhang in general, right? That PSUs and government entities do not get, all things being equal, will not get the same multiples as a private sector player for a variety of reasons. There's always a risk of some kind of corporate governance or corruption and whatever. Like there's a bunch of things that the market ascribes to that. The only exception I have seen, at least, and you may have seen other exceptions also, but the only exception that comes to my mind is IREDA, which is trading at,
I think our IREDA
private
is a
market.
one of a
Yeah.
kind. I think there is no company to compare PFC REC. तो यार थोड़ा दूर ही आते हैं. It's a one of a
वो
kind.
तो
So I
basically
think it's an exception. We cannot count that to just
so what I
justifying
mean is,
PSUs getting an valuation above the private players.
what I mean is renewable. See, it's not just that it is getting a valuation over PFC REC, which are also PSUs at the end of the day. It is getting valuations that are on par with the best, most successful private NBFCs in the country, which is a shock, right? There's no reason, like this is the only time I've seen this. And the only explanation that I could get was it has something to do with the size of the renewable growth story in India. Again, I'm not saying that NTPC should give you 40% pop, and not at all. I'm not saying it is cheap either. I'm just saying that initially I thought this company would probably list at a 50% discount, from where it's coming. I don't think that is going to happen. I actually think this company is okay priced. It is not like a listing gain kind of thing. But like if people want to take a bet or if they want to sort of invest for the long term, I actually think it's a pretty solid, very high visibility to cash flow kind of investment for a proper long-term investor. It's just that I changed my mind from when I thought initially that this is going to just list at a big discount to now actually it's not that bad. It is at a discount to Adani. Maybe it will continue to trade at a 40% discount to Adani. And that means it will neither list at a discount nor give a pop. And it will grow as the company grows, as the company's metrics improve. It will grow and it will grow only over time, right? When people start discounting FY 28, 29, 30, which is after 1, 2, 3 years, it will keep growing with that. But we also know that the plans that this company has, they're saying 19 gigawatt by FY 27. They're also saying they want to get to 60 gigawatt by FY 32, which is another tripling of capacity. So the market will keep discounting the future, over time. So this is a company that can give a very good return if you are genuinely a long-term shareholder, if these guys, of course, execute. But there is at least some, disclosed plans to really grow the business over the next 5-6 years. I'm not very bullish on a listing pop. Hoga to bahut kam hi hoga. But it's not a bad listing that guarantee will list at a discount, is what I feel, just given the visibility, in the long term.
I think one more. I think there was a report out recently from Goldman Sachs. Okay, so I think I'll just say what they have written is we value the renewable energy business at 14 times FY 27 EV EBITDA, leading to a value of 91 rupees per share. तो I think यार ये numbers ना थोड़ा सा मतलब ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है यार honestly.
See, there's one thing here. There's one thing over here is what I'm saying with this FY 27 number is this is on peak capacity. When I say peak, 19 gigawatt is not going to come on April 27. It is going to come in the year FY 27. So this is just for the relative numbers. This is just relatively, like Acme also is going to come the different capacities will go live throughout the year. It's coming in October 27.
So that 4-5 months.
Correct. So by the time it hits, properly runs, there'll be some delay. It'll probably be Q4. The same is true for NTPC. This 19 gigawatt is by the end of FY 27. I'm just saying that that's the annualized rate. And I'm just using it for the relative comparisons of each. Which day, which month, which year, which capacity goes live, there is no clarity on. That will come. Over time, it will come. And I'm just saying that there is visibility to all of these. If you just apply the same stroke, that is for Adani Green also, it'll happen through the year. For each of these, it'll happen through the year. By the end of FY 27, so you can say FY 28 should have this full sort of capacity, operational and generating that kind of EBITDA. So that's the right way to look at it. It's just about relative calculation.
I think what is happening is like we all three will surely do our maths. I think I'm yet to do my maths on NTPC Green. I'll surely present it soon. But I think what is happening with the public investors, public as a whole, is these different brokerage firms are coming with different kind of reports. Recently, I think I'm not recalling the name. It came with I think target price of 67. I think. Now Goldman is coming at 91, and the wrong number. I think issue is not with the target price. It is with the EBITDA calculations. I think 14x and 8x are, I think, Hindustan, Pakistan, complete huge differences. think 14 or 12 होना, that is still a huge difference, but we'll just mitigate
Let's
that.
see, view it differently. Just say that, okay, the FY26 number, which is supposed to be 11 gigawatt. Okay, let's just take the equivalent numbers for each. Now, you'll get the same calculation at the end of the day.
Correct.
Let's say that 11 gigawatt will be there by end of FY26. Uska multiple dalo will be 14x. And he's saying that, okay, uska pura in FY27, all of the FY27 capacity will come on, 30th of March FY27. So none of the numbers will come in that year. So it's like, I'm just saying, use it for relative this thing. It doesn't matter whether the number is 7 or 13 or 3 or 5 or 14 or 22. It's all relative. The absolute number is actually irrelevant. It's just about comparing the valuations of each. That FY27 number is a annualized number, assuming in Q4, everyone has got all their capacity live. They will generate this, instead of 15,000, they'll do 3,500 crore of EBITDA in Q4, which will annualize to 15,000 crore. That's what it means. But this is just based on each of the capacities that each one wants to go live, and they sort of have the agreed PPAs with, for all of these capacities. That visibility is very, very strong. Relatively, NTPC Green is at a 40% discount to Adani, and Acme Solar is at a 60-70% discount to NTPC Green.
discount.
Yeah. So Acme Solar is obviously the most attractive of the three. Then NTPC Green, what discount PSU will get, market will only tell. And then Adani Green is where it is. So,
but how polls apart are this thing? See, NTPC, the parent company, trades at 10 times EV/EBITDA FY24, 10 times, and we are valuing this at 14 times FY27. And I think this company has 64 gigawatt.
It's a function of thermal. Most of it is thermal. Most of it will be.
I think the report which came in today said exactly the same thing, right? The run-up in NTPC over the last 1 year has
72%.
been a function of just NTPC renewable being priced in by the
मतलब वही
market.
चीज है ना कि अगर 72% स्टॉक रन अप कर चुका है, मतलब इसका 6 महीने 8 महीने पहले वैल्यूएशन 2 लाख करोड़ हुआ करता और उस टाइम पे 6 टाइम्स EBITDA FY24 पे चलता था. नाउ वी आर वैल्यूइंग FY27 का 14 EBITDA 14 टाइम्स. आई थिंक इजंट दिस एक्सट्रीमली क्रेजी जस्ट ऑन द नेम ऑफ रिन्यूएबल? एंड एंड ऑफ द डे तो पावर वही आ रहा है. And I think operational cost for the T&D players for first 1.5 years to 2 years is going to get increased, and just अपने घर के बिल्स ज्यादा आने वाले. वो चीज अलग ही, आज मैं सोलर बिठा रहा हूँ घर पे, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग. बट ये चीज तो मतलब हो गया ना, FY26 से अपना लाइट बिल 10% से कम होना चालू होगा. बट आई थिंक ये जो प्रीमियम मार्केट दे रहा है, आई थिंक दिस इज ऑनेस्टली, आई थिंक जब क्या शब्द नहीं मेरे पे, बट ठीक है, अब चल रही चीजें.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an interesting point. Like if NTPC was at 2 lakh and now it's at 3.5, 3.7, I don't know, maybe 4 lakh on an EV basis.
What issue I have with NTPC Green is not due to the valuations or the business. I think, yaar, see the people who are sitting on the chairs, what aggression and what attitude these guys have. See, abhi analyst meet mein gaya, the CMD was not, I think, speaking well with the investors. They are like, हम उपकार कर रहे हैं आप पे हमारा IPO लाके. I think it's a very wrong attitude. Even Mr. Sunil Mittal was extremely at a soft level attitude during Bharti Exam. I think it's not acceptable from the investors' point of view. I think it's thoda sa out of a relevant discussion, but yaar, I think the thing should surely improve. And जो ये बातें कर रहे हैं, हमारा ये बड़ा ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड कॉर्पोरेट, यार 2.5 साल 2.25 साल तो पुरानी कंपनी तुम्हारी, कहाँ से तुम कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस की बातें कर रहे हो? NHPC में सिमिलर थिंग्स थी 2008 में. 18 रुपए का 19 रुपए का शेयर एक्सपेक्टेड था, 36 पे IPO आया, उसको वापस 36 आने में 2021 लग गया, 2022 आ गया. एंड जो उन्होंने प्रोमिस 2008 में हुए थे ना, वो आज तक पूरे नहीं हुए. उन्होंने जो 2008 में प्रोमिस करे थे 2014 के, वो आज तक पूरे नहीं हुए. आई थिंक थोड़ा सा, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग नेगेटिव ऑन द कंपनी, वो तो मैं बहुत ऑनेस्टी से रिव्यू करूंगा, अपसाइड और अपसाइड दिखा दूंगा. बट आई थिंक द थिंग शुड श्योरली इंप्रूव. थोड़ा बुरी आई थिंक डायरेक्शन में जा रही है चीजें, तो दैट्स ऑल.
मैंने उसको ज्यादा नहीं देखा. I did not heard.
No, यार, I think I attended the complete meet. I even talked with JM Financials person. I talked with I think 2-3 more. I don't want to disclose that, but I think they were not happy with the management. I won't say management, just the CMD person. I think he had a damn level attitude, man. It's not acceptable, honestly. आप अगर 1,000 करोड़ 10,000 करोड़ के मालिक हो ना, you shouldn't show that attitude. But आप एक छोड़ो अभी, let's close it.
But yeah, good discussion, guys. One of those discussions where I could very obviously just sit it out and let you guys figure out what the value should be, and definitely enjoyed it as a spectator. But yeah, this is what our read of NTPC Green was. I would just say, kind of end it with one thing. People might see value, people might not see value, just that the market sentiment is not good. So that is something which you will definitely have to keep in mind. Do not go overboard with respect to shorting this counter. Do not go overboard with respect to longing this counter. Just sit it out. There are some times where you need to go long. There are some times where you need to go short, and there are some times where you just need to go fishing. So one of those times where you let the market decide where this should be, because again, I'm not comfortable with respect to the valuations. I remember when this issue, IPO hadn't came in, I was discussing it with Tanmay that the max that they need to at least minimum price it at 40 rupees. So they'll commit at like 45, 50. That is what our expectation was. It has came in at 108. So again, way beyond our expectations. But again, उनने थोड़ा सा शायद वो 125 बीच में रूमर करा के शायद उससे कुछ impact हो. I don't know how it will work, but again, it is, at least for my comfort, it is slightly, like, I think it is priced in. I might still apply one lot here and there just to be in the game and try and do some random TP. But again, would look at it in terms of a long term. I feel there's a different player which looks better to me. I am invested in that as well. Not going to say anything about that because आज मैंने कहीं ना कहीं किसी को तो बोला था that the Acme, its peer is trading at a huge discount and the other person refused to categorize Acme as a peer to Adani Green and Adani and NTPC Green, but yeah, can't do much. This is what our review was per se. Yash, do you have anything to add? Tanmay, Rohit, do you guys have any
यार
closing comments, or we can kind of end this?
on I think there was a interview per se. Oh, the CMD Gurdeep Singh said that we were advised by our bankers to price this issue even above, but the Paytm comment again, just repeat, cut, copy, paste, वही चीज हुआ. बट एंड आई थिंक देयर वर रूमर्स कि 125 में. उसका एक छोटा सा क्लैरिफिकेशन देता हूँ. आई थिंक सेबी का एक रूल है कि आपको आपके पूरे कंपनी का 10% पोस्ट मनी इशूड शेयर कैपिटल आपको डाइल्यूट करना पड़ता है. अगर मैं वो कैलकुलेशन से जाऊं ना, आई थिंक पिछले 10 सालों में ओनली LIC हैज गॉट दैट एक्सेप्शन. And if I went with that calculations, they cannot even price the issue above 116 rupees. तो 125 वाली चीजें लीगली ही नहीं बैठती है. तो आई थिंक मैं बहुत बुरा शब्द आ जाऊंगा, बट आई थिंक दी रूमर्स वेर आई थिंक नॉनसेंस. 116 के ऊपर आईपीओ आप प्राइस ही नहीं कर सकते, तो कहां से 125 आएगा? लीगली बैठते ही नहीं वो. तो वही चीज है. एंड जस्ट लेट्स सी. एंड आई थिंक एज फॉर मी, एक्मे एंड Adani are better than NTPC due to those two things, the corporate governance and the execution capabilities. I know कि यार this public, आपको पता है कि जो sector public के I think government के under radar होता है, तो the companies do well, especially the PSUs. But let's see how, I think, and what this premium they're coming at, market should have decided to give it a premium or not. The bankers are not the right persons to give that premium to the company. वो market decide कर लेते बाद में कि देना है कि नहीं. But आप बोल रहे हो कि मुझे तो चाहिए यार at any cost to premium. तो let's see how market reacts in the long run.
I have a question, very interesting question which I have picked up, which says that NTPC Green will always get loans which will be cheaper, like at 7.7%, 8% versus a private player might get it at like, let's say, 9 to 14%. With capex done like 4:1 in terms of debt to equity, interest costs could be enormous. Would that be priced in some way, shape or form? Anything which you guys feel on this?
सर आई थिंक एक चीज ऐसा था कि आई थिंक उन्होंने कॉस्टिंग दिया था कि हमको 1 मेगावाट ऑफ सोलर और एक आई थिंक 5 करोड़ था वो. तो पूरा इनका सोलर का 1 गीगावाट बिठाने के लिए जस्ट इंस्टॉलेशन 5,000 करोड़ प्लस की 5500 आप राउंड फिगर ले लो, और विंड का करीब 7500 7700. तो दे आर एस्पायरिंग 60 गीगावाट्स एंड द डेट्स आर 25 ईयर्स. मतलब जो पुराने डेट है वो नहीं जाने वाले हैं, सिर्फ उसका एक प्रोपोर्शनल बेसिस पे इनकम होगा. तो आई एम जस्ट कैलकुलेटिंग कि अरे कहाँ पे जा रहे हैं नंबर्स. व्हाट द नंबर्स आर. हर साल का इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट एटलीस्ट 25,000 करोड़. दिस इज अ क्रेजी नंबर. तो मतलब यार 25,000, 20,000, 30,000 करोड़, वो भी मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, आई थिंक एट अ लोअर एंड बोल रहा हूँ, बिकॉज आपको पता होगा कि कुछ 65,000 करोड़ का इंडिया लार्जेस्ट ग्रीन अमोनिया का भी कुछ काम कर रहा है, और वो भी 80%. आई थिंक मैनेजमेंट has क्लियरली सेड ऑन द कैमरा कि वी आर गोइंग टू मेंटेन द डेट इक्विटी ऑफ 80-20, मतलब 1:4 का रहेगा, 4x डेट टू इक्विटी. आई थिंक देखते हैं यार फ्यूचर में क्या होता है, बट यार 25-30,000 करोड़ ऑफ तो मैं वो सुन के ही मेरा दिमाग चकरा जा रहा है, बट सी, लेट्स सी हाउ थिंग्स गो.
See, there are two points here. I think one is generally these companies get an EV EBITDA multiple, so the interest costs by itself will not be that, like, I mean, it doesn't even play into the multiple, but of course it helps in them raising the next, I mean, it'll improve their cash flow. The interest outlay will be lower. It improves the cash flow. It allows them to accrue more cash to, increase their sort of reserves and take more debt for the next, and sort of get to the point where they have to take that sort of 4x debt to build the next, or like to keep increasing the capacity. So definitely it will help them be more capital efficient going forward. I mean, maybe it will get that, but I just feel that historically, with the exception of IREDA, we've always seen PSUs get worse multiples, across the board. So there is I don't know how the market will view this as exception to the rule, and therefore find the reasons why this should actually trade at a better multiple than a private player. I don't think so. So even if it's very, very difficult to just, ascertain that this factor will give it an extra 5%. So instead of a 40% discount, it at 38% or 35% discount. It's impossible to do that. So I think to just see where it trades. I mean, by no means am I saying that I am going to apply strongly. I will just watch and see how the subscriptions go. If I apply, it will most likely be like an SHNI kind of lot. None of these IPOs are giving me the confidence to do more than that. And like 2 lakhs ka kuch mila, kuch nahi mila, I'll probably just keep it in the portfolio for the long term, because I do see some value in this. Like I see a lot of value in this. If you have a 3-year, 5-year sort of horizon, I actually do see decent value, decent compounding value here. So it will be more that play, not for really listing gains, because I really don't know how this is going to get valued on listing.
One good thing about NTPC, to be very honest, I think मुझे बहुत चीज अच्छी लगी, because I think that's it's an EBITDA kind of business, annuity based and high debt business. So I think credit rating plays a vital role, and I think this company has the top AAA credit rating, and even the sovereign and the Indian domestic. So I think that is a good lever above the both. I think अगर मैं कुछ comparative terms में जाऊँ तो I think NTPC will have an upper hand at least on the getting the loans at a cheaper rate than this both. I think अदानी का भी शायद थोड़े दिनों में upgrade आ जाएगा, but Acme might not get an upgrade very soon. So that's a good part.
Yeah. So, Rohit, you said that this company gets valued at EV EBITDA, right? So skip the interest part per se for calculation, but then going concern आ जाता है ना if the interest rate is too high, especially considering these companies are taking so much debt. You start running into cases where, like, classic housing bubble, right? You've just taken so much loan that will you be able to service it to be able to grow? Those questions start coming in. That's where
The main
companies
thing
start
here is,
getting.
unlike housing, here your revenues fixed. So all your calculations are based on a fixed tariff that you're going to get for 25 years. Now, if something happens to the government, if our state utilities stop paying, I mean, then then the country is in like sort of shambles, and the government is in shambles. I mean, that is a situation that none of us are sort of discounting or even projecting. So I think here the calculations are far more straightforward. It's a very, very, very predictable business. It is a 25-year fixed tariff business. So you know exactly how much money you will generate every month, every quarter for the next N years. The only thing you will have to give some leeway for is when the new capacity goes live. Does it because of some monsoon, it goes live 1 quarter late, or whatever, because of monsoon, there's some slightly lower production in a particular month or two, but that's about it. It's very predictable business. That's why you can't view it with, against other places where debt is taken and you don't know what the outcome of that will be. You have a 25-year agreement just set in stone. As long as you keep generating those agreements, your revenue is fixed. So it's not that complicated a business to worry that there'll be a lot of defaults and stuff.
I think if I value this company on FY26 EBITDA, not FY27, so what will be the premiums or discounts or the multiples? Any idea on it?
Yeah, mera FY26 ka, again, I had taken just based on 11 and let's see, what is Adani? Adani is 22 in that time. So, mota, do the math. Hold on. 11 ka 7,000 crore hoga. So it'll be about 13x, 14x that number, because I'm obviously annualizing that number. Annualizing and saying
very rough
14.
estimates.
Yeah. So
Not
and
to be
it's
very
ka
precise.
22 ka hoga 20 times steps. 22
Correct.
times. So 14x for NTPC and 22 times for Adani. Because Adani is supposed to have
For
22
26.
gigawatt. Yeah, this is FY26 the annualized number, not this is based on 11 gigawatt and 22 gigawatt.
I'll give you the number. 6.3 gigawatt FY25 and 11.3 FY26. 11.3 is
Correct.
NTPC number set by the management.
Yes, 11.3, but that will be the average number. That will not be the exact EBITDA generated. It will be the
Exit can
annualized
10.5, 10,
9
something.
types. Halfway point you can take. So 9 ka 6,000 crore type, 7,000 crore EBITDA generate करेंगे. उसमें you can say there will be on 90,000 it is 16x. On almost 1 lakh crore it's like 15-16x.
And Adani is at roughly 19-20 times. If I
Yeah.
add the new business coming in FY26, it could be roughly 18 times. So मतलब फिर भी I think 5-7-8% discount. मतलब at par ही आया है FY26 पे, correct?
FY26 पे, हाँ, basically the thing is,
At par,
these guys are
5-10% छोड़ दो मैं तो. At par
that's
ही है,
because
almost.
these guys are going to add 8 gigawatt in FY27, while Adani will add another 6. So that's where the disproportionate sort of value for NTPC comes. At least this is based on what both companies have declared. Now, if they change their mind and if NTPC declares a lower number or Adani ramps it up.
नहीं, अदानी तो नहीं करेगा यार. अदानी और एक्मे की तो मैं गारंटी लेता हूँ. NTPC can might change shortly.
Waiting with that, let's just put in some closing comments. I know a lot of people are waiting for this. What is my personal strategy? Maybe I'll ask Rohit and Tanmay, both of you as well, this question, and maybe Yash if you're around as well. So I will probably skip the BlackBuck issue unless I see demand. And even if I'll get some token SHNI allotment just to keep looking at the issue, not going full force at all. Onyx Biotec, I will skip. Not sure where it will list and doesn't seem super exciting to me. NTPC Green, again, let's see how it develops. I again think that it might just list at a slight pop. Like it can still give like that 2-3% versus, so I might take a chance and apply one big HNI or one SHNI, but the shareholder quota is definitely gone to waste. But from my rough idea, it will, like, if I have to take a punt, I would say that shareholder quota definitely would be undersubscribed per se. So we'll see how it evolves, but not super exciting per se. For this week's IPO, I'll give a sneak peek of next week's IPO, but before that, Tanmay and Rohit, what are you guys going to do?
यार एंकर बुक तो अच्छी आ रही है एनटीपीसी की. अच्छे इन्वेस्टर्स डाल दे मनीष भाई अपने.
Okay. Which is what I'm saying, right? I'm hoping that it gives some pop. Let's see. Hoping for a positive somehow. Market also sentiment hopefully changes from tomorrow. So that there is some sentiment play in picture as well. But what are you planning to do?
मैं तो तीनों स्किप करने का सोच रहा हूँ यार. मतलब द थिंग इज लाइक ऑल 3 इश्यूज, उसमें से कोई भी बुरा इशू नहीं है टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. ऑनिक्स इज अ काइंड ऑफ न्यूट्रल टू नेगेटिव वेव. For me, Zinka is BlackBuck is neutral to positive, and for me NTPC is neutral / 10% positive. अगर मैं वो CMD साहब निकाल दूं तो I'm neutral to positive on it. तो वो तरीके, but I think it doesn't give any kind of gut to apply in the higher categories. I think multiple retail small HNI can be a good one, but as अभी तक मैंने किसी भी IPO पे फाइनल, हाँ Onyx I might leave it or take it सब टाइम पास कर सकता हूँ कुछ. बट मैं एनटीपीसी को तो अभी तक बहुत डेप्थ में तो अभी तक स्टडी नहीं किया है मैंने. बट ऐसे जिंका मुझे ठीक लग रहा है वैसे, बट आई थिंक लिस्टिंग पे आई एम नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. थोड़ा लिस्टिंग के बाद मुझे नीचे अगर मिल जाए, एक्चुअली मिल जाएगा, वी माइट ट्राई समथिंग. मतलब एक अलोकेशन के जरूरत तो छोटा ही रहेगा फॉर श्योर. थोड़ी सी हाई रिस्क की कंपनी है एटलीस्ट फॉर नेक्स्ट 3 to 4 months. उसके बाद शायद पिक्चर और क्लियर हो जाए. बट यस, आई एम मोर एक्साइटेड फॉर द नेक्स्ट अपकमिंग मेन बोर्ड्स एंड द एसएमईज.
उनके बारे में बात करते हैं. Before that, let me go to Rohit.
So I'm planning to skip Onyx completely. It just doesn't fit any of the criteria that I look at when I invest. The between Zinka and NTPC, both I am going to watch till the end. It's unlikely I will take a big HNI bet here. I would be more comfortable taking just SHNI bets here and more of tracking positions. I like, I do like Zinka especially because it's a very interesting, unique sort of business. I think the market will find a way to give it a decent value, and it might surprise us, but still the market, it may not happen on listing. If, maybe 6 months out, if the tech companies or 1 year out tech companies get a good premium, this could be at like double the price of where it is today. And that will be mostly like the sentiment of that segment and, like Tanmay saying, 1-2 quarters of good results, and it will be in a different orbit. So it looks very interesting from that perspective. And NTPC Green is to me, it feels like a very good long-term compounder. In listing gain, I don't know. I still think whatever it is, all the calculations I've done, in my head, I would have given a 40% discount to an Adani. And that is what, at least my calculation, the best case, it comes to a 40% discount. So it's not like it's leaving anything really on the table as a PSU per se. So let's see. I will definitely view both of these on subscriptions, whereas Onyx I'm not even going to look at. Because the other two I will view on subscriptions and take a call closer to the last day.
I'm just thinking यार
आपने नीलम को भी ऐसे ही बोला
just
था
interrupt.
कि देखेंगे, नीलम को ऐसे ही किया था रोहित ने, और फिर नीलम
क्या सभी
नीलम लेनिन इज द कंपनी व्हिच यू रिव्यूड एंड नहीं देखेंगे इसको, फिर वो लास्ट में 330 पे एकदम जंप आया था उसमें.
अरे उसमें बोला था ना, in fact we discussed this also. This is Neelam is like perfect candidate for flippers to come, put grey market premium and make this list at 90%, do 2 circuits and then fall. Because there's been a big gap between the last SME IPO and this, and there's only 8 crore of float, if you take out the anchors. So it's like perfect for these flippers would be itching to sort of, make some money again. And it happened. It has nothing to do with fundamentals, and we cannot take a, pure bet like that. At least I can't. So, but we had actually told others that if you want to play that game, you can try your luck. And if you did, you might have gotten lucky also. Let's see where it lists. But yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't track it only. I wish I had tracked it. I would have applied multiple retail after 3 p.m. as well. I just didn't see it that day. So that's why I was sitting on it.
यार सर मैं तो ये सोच रहा हूँ कि यार एनटीपीसी का लिस्टिंग के दिन ना कोई ब्रोकरेज रिपोर्ट ना आ जाए 90 का टारगेट देके. दैट इज द ओनली बेयर केस इन द एनटीपीसी पे. बाकी तो आई थिंक एट पार करा देंगे लिस्ट. व्हाट डू यू थिंक ऑन दैट पार्ट? ऐसा कुछ हो जाए तो 1995 का टारगेट कोई दे दे तो
हो सकता है यार.
हाँ दैट ओवर हो जाए. बिकॉज स्विगी में तो चीज रिफ्लेक्ट हुई थी, लाइक एक्चुअली होती है. जेजेडब्ल्यू, भारती, फर्स्ट क्राई, ऑल वी हैव सीन. तो पॉसिबल.
Even Ola got one big boost.
Right. Ilara. 115, 140, 160. उसके बाद
उसके बाद
HSBC is the last person to always give an upgrade, और उसके बाद history repeats. HSBC ने फर्स्ट क्राई को भी नहीं छोड़ा यार. अच्छे से अपना बढ़ रहा था यार. उन्होंने अपग्रेड दिया, अगले दिन वो जीएसटी का सीन हो गया, गिर रहा है बेचारा स्टॉक. यार क्यों करते HSBC वाले पता नहीं.
ठीक है, फर्स्ट क्राई results are pretty good, so let's see if that will turn it around.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe with that, we've kind of ended the episode. Just want to highlight that for next week, we have quite a few good companies per se coming. There's one Mainboard which got announced today. Entero करके एक Mainboard company आ रही है.
Engineers.
Enviro Infra, it's a water EPC sort of a play. So definitely interesting. Enviro Infra Engineers, small IPO for the Mainboard. But definitely keep that in mind. And there are 3 SMEs which are also coming. It's going to be Lemosec, which is coming in on 26th, C2C Advanced coming in on 26th, and then Rajesh Power coming on 27th. I really like 2 of them. In fact, I like all 3 for different reasons. And next week's IPO episode should be very interesting. So definitely keep a watch out for the next week's IPO. And if you missed listening to any of the companies, the YouTube channel is in the pinned comments. ऊपर आपको post में भी दिख रहा होगा. Definitely follow the YouTube channel. I would post this video tonight per se, so you can also look at this video at your own pace. But with that, we've kind of closed the podcast for today, unless anyone has anything to add, or we can.
एक closing comment होगा. Many people are afraid of water infra companies now. You just give a disclaimer. Enviro राजस्थान में काम नहीं करता है. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day ahead. Bye.
Thank you.